Oh, you're back. Well, I'm back too. I warned you I'd be back. And I'm going to talk about this in Chapter 4 here of Fixing DC, the mess inside the Beltway, of the importance of getting involved now. Now is always an important time to get involved. I don't care when now comes. Because there are groups, there are organizations who are constantly now out there figuring out ways where they can manipulate anything. And the number of them that are trying to manipulate our government and our constitution and our way of life has gotten to the point where I can't even sit here and reel them off to you. I have to build a database in a computer here to put names together of organizations and names of people, then try to cross-link all their connections. Because we've fallen into the trap, and this is one of the things that the framers of our Constitution never wanted to happen. But we have fallen into it over a number of years. The trap of trying to get things streamlined in our government to the point where we no longer have as much diversity to choose from, and this is fueled by the mainstream media, which I call the corporate media, because I don't think they represent the mainstream. As long as the top of their corporate interests and the bottom line of making a profit exists, the elite, if you will, of the corporate input is setting the tone for what they're reporting. But this is another whole individual issue I'll get into at some other time. The point is that the longer we wait, the more entrenched they become, and the harder it is to raise a dissenting voice or opposing voice. We have so many groups out there now, and they are so intertwined that it is impossible in many cases to tell the real difference between one side and the other. And that's because there is no real difference. And a lot of this is smoke and mirrors. Right? They're over here waving their hands and saying, look at this nice shiny thing over here. Right, now this shiny thing can be anything in the world. It's really designed to make you watch this while this other thing comes around over here. Alright? And suddenly you find out that this is what they were really going to do. And so here's that shiny thing over here. I want you to watch this. Alright, watch this while this other thing comes along, and next thing you know, it's a gotcha. You don't think so? This is a well-known psychological move. Every magician in the world does it. Alright? Wave the hand over here, take the attention over to his side over here. Meanwhile, you're doing this sneaky thing over here on this other side. It works. It works because people fall for it. They're only too willing to go and watch and pay attention to just the thing that they are told to, and take their eye off the ball. The reason I say that they're all intertwined, and there are many reasons for saying this, is that there are so many of these groups out there that have people who are cross-connected. Now, one thing when it comes to politicians, all right, first of all, you have everybody, including the right, great numbers of the right, very unhappy with George Bush, all right, and with the Republicans. All right, the approval rating finally, the headlines, they finally did it. George W. Bush is now at 24%, lowest rating of all time, the same rating that Nixon had when he was forced to resign. And then you have your Congress overall. They're even lower than that. Now, you think I'm attacking Bush? I'm going to sit here and I'm going to tell you something that I don't like about Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House. Instead of having an opportunity to take one of her scripted lines, I mean, all these politicians have these scripted lines. You approach a subject and bang, out comes the line that they have predetermined is supposed to be the nice thing to say. You catch them off guard in an unguarded moment, and the real thoughts, right, their real attitude comes out. Example number one. You have a group of people outside her house there protesting. They got signs up. Some of them are protesting the war. Some of them are protesting the fact that impeachment's off the table, whatever. She made this comment. If they were homeless, right, or something, she could get them arrested for loitering. But because they have signs, she can't, because they're protesting. She really would like to just get rid of them. She doesn't want to listen to them. Right? If they didn't have signs, she'd have them arrested. Right? Now, here's one that's much more telling. This is where the real truth comes out. Right? When she was asked why, because such a high percentage of the people, as the polls showed, right, once in a while the mainstream media does get it right, right? Why, when the polls were so high about this issue, she chose to ignore it. And she made a very telling statement there. Right? She blurted it right out. She said, well, they're just advocates. We're the leaders. Oh, jeez. Well, I got news for her. Number one, some of these advocates out here are some pretty hefty thinkers. I may not be the brightest bulb in the pack. I don't think I am. But I can think, and I can think for myself. And there are an awful lot of other people out here that can do it too. And these people that are able to think for themselves sent these people to Washington to do the things they wanted done. They fully expected that if they tell their leaders that they want this thing done, that it should be done. But no. She dismisses us all as children with misguided thinking. Only we are not the citizens who elected them to represent us. Right? We sent them there to take control and do whatever they wanted. Right? If this isn't a disconnect, I don't know what is. Now, how are we going to fight this? We've got to get people involved. We've got to get people to come in here and start to take their common interests and put them together and go after them. Now, you think I'm sitting here and I'm saying you got to get off your butt to do something? No. I don't even want you to get off your butt. I want you to sit right there. I want you to sit there until your butt covers the whole chair. Because of the online community, you can join our forums, you can join our chats, and we can start to discuss these things, and we can start to figure out exactly how we're going to go after them. I've got ideas on how this thing can be structured so that everybody can be heard, and that the majority can express their opinion in such a way, right, that you eventually wind up with a consensus, right, and then you go forward. But until you get involved now, because we're not going to fix the '08 election, right? This thing has been structured to go right down to the line the way the people at the top want it to go. Right? Every one of these polls shows the top three on one side, the top three on the other. Any dissenting voices underneath there don't even get mentioned. They're in the polls, but we can just dismiss them. All right, we got Ron Paul on one side. I don't agree with everything he says, but he does have some valid points. All right, you got Mike Gravel, you got Kucinich on the other side. I don't agree with everything they say. They do have some points. Are you hearing these points? No. Right, they've decided at the top. All right, the Republican National Committee. All right, the Democratic National Committee. All right, they're not doing anything to promote these so-called second tier. You're going to dismiss them. So you better get involved now, because we got to play catch-up. These people are way ahead of us. They're going to stay way ahead of us until you get involved. Think about this. I'm going to leave you to think about it. And I'll be back again.